Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Louis Longoria here once again for Garage Game Day Sports. I'm talking previewing and offering predictions on the Dallas Cowboys versus the New England Patriots game this Sunday afternoon in Foxborough. But before we get to that, please feel free to like us on all the socials, like, comment, subscribe down below on our YouTube channel, Garage Game Day Sports. Follow us on Facebook, Garage Game Day Sports. Follow us on Twitter at Game Day Garage. Follow us on all the socials. It would make my Thirsty Thursday even better. So I want to jump in and talk about the Cowboys. 4-1 on the year, going to Gillette Stadium to take on the 2-3 Patriots. Cowboys, winners of 4 in a row. You know, of course, had that opening night loss to Tampa Bay. That was always going to be a tough game to overcome. But 4 wins in a row. Offense looking as explosive as ever, especially in the last 3 games. The Cowboys average over 40 points a game. So this offense just clicking on all cylinders, getting everybody involved. This is looking like a really good team this year. And I know we kind of say it every year as Cowboy fans, get overly optimistic. But I just really think they can do some damage this year. And if we were to win the division and hold on, it could really mean big things in the playoffs, if we were to get there. So we'll host New England 2-3. Like I said, it's a road game. They're coming off a razor-thin win over the Texans last week, 25-22. Mac Jones hasn't been playing terrible, but he hasn't been lighting it up either. 5 touchdowns, 5 picks. This team on offense looks pretty average on paper, and when you look at just execution, Damian Harris is leading their running game. He's not doing too much. They're averaging, a little less than 4 yards a carry. Like I said, Jones, 5 touchdowns, 5 picks. Just still his rookie season, so of course there's going to be growing pains. And the defense is really where they bring home the bacon, because they're only allowing 18 points a game. They're able to get after the quarterback. They're able to generate pressure. So it's going to be really interesting to see this Cowboys offense, how they stack up against this Patriot defense, because the Patriots' way this year has been on the defensive side of the ball. I do want to talk some injuries real quick on our injury report. Trevon Diggs didn't practice Wednesday due to an ankle injury. He's officially listed as questionable for the game. DeMonte Casey and Randy Gregory also with the questionable tag for Sunday's game. So the jury's still out on that. And Kelvin Joseph, though, some good news for the Cowboys, was designated to return from the injured reserve. So we'll see if we see him on Sunday. And if we do, how limited a role he'll have for the rookie corner. Patriots, speaking of Damian Harris, was a non-participant on Wednesday with ribs, so he's listed as questionable right now. And a lot of the questionable tags for the Patriots on the defensive side of the ball, Kyle Van Noy, Kyle Duggar, and they do have some offensive line issues right now. They've got Trent Brown that's on IR, offensive tackle, and then you've got a couple other offensive linemen on the COVID list that are listed as questionable, so still yet to be seen whether they'll be cleared in time for Sunday's game. I do want to go back to Mac Jones, though. He's playing good. He's playing solid ball. He doesn't take a lot of chances down the field. So it wouldn't surprise me if Trevon Diggs' interception streak ends in this game, because he may not get a whole lot of looks his way, and there may not be a lot of deep balls. And, Diggs has kind of prided himself on picking off those balls, kind of 15, 20 yards down the field. And Jones doesn't really do that. His yards per attempt is only around 7 yards, 6.5 to 7 yards. He doesn't take a whole lot of shots down the field. And I know Belichick and the offense, they're getting him acclimated to the NFL and to the big games. So I think we'll start seeing that in the near future. But hopefully we can generate a pass rush and force him into quicker throws and not let him and that Patriots offense get too explosive. The Patriots' leading receivers is Jacoby Myers, who's only averaging about 60 yards a game right now. So that tells me, they don't have a dominant wide receiver. They don't have the big play ability. Mac Jones is kind of spreading the ball around, between Jacoby Myers, Hunter Henry, Nelson Aguilar, and Jonnu Smith. So he's spreading the ball around, but there's no one true number one receiver, and there's no huge explosive, home run hitter on that Patriots offense. And like what I was talking about, they're predicating themselves on defense. Matt Judon can get after the quarterback. He can definitely collapse the pocket and put pressure on quarterbacks. And he's just been a force. 6 sacks on the year, tackles for loss. So you've always got to account for him. Regardless who it's going to be, blitz pickup, screens, running the ball away from him. You've got to account for him in all facets of the game. Josh Uche and Kyle Van Noy, can also wreak havoc, bust up plays, and Van Noy's the leading tackler. But he can also get you those negative yardage plays for your defense. Tackles for losses. So this defense definitely has a lot of playmakers that can disrupt and can really boggle down an offense. Now, granted, I know the Patriots haven't exactly faced a murderer's row of offenses. They got Tua in the first game of the year. They had Jameis Winston during the year, but it still was only his 3rd game starting for the Saints. They've played 2 rookie quarterbacks. Zach Wilson, they picked him off 4 times. And then they had Davis Mills last week against the Texans, even though Mills threw 3 touchdowns. That's not necessarily the quarterback, you game plan for, in the weeks leading up to that game. So it's still a mixed bag, but the Patriots defense, makes stops when they have to, and they don't allow a lot of points. The key for the Patriots, they're going to have to slow the game down. They're going to have to force Dak, Zeke, or somebody into a turnover. They're going to have to win the turnover battle. So they're going to really have to slow the game down and hope for explosive plays sprinkled in. Whether it's Harris, Myers, Hunter Henry, somebody's going to have to make a big play to kind of keep them in this game and to strike first. The Cowboys have been striking first a lot in their games and then striking heavier in the second half. They're actually looking like a second half team. So the Patriots definitely going to try and take the air out of the ball and not let the Cowboys play keep away. 3 of the Patriots' 5 games, they've allowed 20 points or less. So they're going to definitely want that kind of production and to really stymie the Cowboys offense. And the Cowboys offense, it's really looking like a second half team. We get plenty of production in the first half, especially the opening drives. And last week, Prescott had that early pick that got tipped and intercepted. And then he had the fumble in the end zone against the Eagles. So we're not perfect by any stretch, but we do generate points in the first quarter, and we ramp it up in the second quarter, and then we score even more in the second half. And once Zeke and Pollard get going, they're able to wear down that defense. So it's important for the Cowboys to establish tempo, but to really not deviate from what they've been doing. Relying on the running game. That offensive line has been generating massive holes for Zeke and Pollard to open up, to get through. And then they're just able to dominate time of possession and really work on the clock and wear down that defense in the second half. They do a lot of their damage in the second half. We saw, I think it was 27 points against the Giants. They had about 20 against Carolina. So you see the production in the first half, but it kind of sets the stage and sets the tone for the second half and really allows our playmakers to get going, really allows Dak to see the field and really break everything down. So that's key for the Cowboys to get going, but really not deviate from their original game plan and really stick it to the Patriots in the second half. I really like what the Cowboys have been doing on third down. Completing over half of our third down conversions. That's very efficient. And especially the difference in our third down conversions and what our opponents are doing on third down. 51% for the Cowboys, and they're only allowing a 36% conversion rate for opponents on third down. That is huge because your offense is stalling. The opponent's offense is stalling. You're getting the ball back. You're tiring out that defense because they're on the field longer than the offense. The other team's not able to go down the field and score points. So the Cowboys definitely want to keep their finger on the pulse of that and to keep that going. And then on this defense, we didn't generate any sacks last week against Daniel Jones and the Giants and Mike Glennon when he came in relief of an injured Danny Dimes. We didn't get any sacks, but we got plenty of pressures. Plenty of tackles for losses. So our front seven can really not just pass rush, but they can collapse a pocket. They can, they can sack the quarterback, but they can get a tackle for loss. They can get a big tackle, that avoids a big gain by the offense. You've got Micah Parsons, Osa, Osa Digizua, Leighton Vander Esch, Randy Gregory, Jaron Curse. All of those guys have multiple tackles for loss this year. That's 5 guys that can fly after the ball, get after the quarterback, get a tackle for loss, a big tackle in open space, and that also helps out the secondary. You know, you still got Trevon Diggs back there, DeMonte Casey, Anthony Brown that are capable of intercepting the ball. So that helps out these guys. But it also can pressure quarterbacks into getting the ball quicker than they want. And that's where Diggs really thrives. You know, he's just a football magnet right now, just sucking the ball anywhere in his vicinity. He's able to come down with an interception. And like I said before, I think this week he may not necessarily get a pick because Mac Jones, you know, and Belichick, of course, coaching, don't really like to throw the ball too far down the field. So I would say if I had to pick a game, I would say this one, that Diggs' interception streak, unfortunately comes to an end, but I'd be more than happy to be proven wrong. So, yeah, there's that. So I think the Patriots will hang around. You know, I think with Belichick coaching, you've always got a chance. They played Tampa Bay tough, even though they lost that game. Yeah, they played the Saints tough for a while, and then they eked one out over the Texans last week. So they're definitely capable of playing close games. I just think the Cowboys establish the tone early, limit big plays, and they just keep on what they've been doing. It's been working. They really dominate the second half. I think they'll get a late second half score that'll pull this game away. I have a close score. I have the Cowboys 28, the Patriots 20. And I just like the Cowboys a little bit more, even though they're playing, you know, in Foxborough and, you know, maybe a little cooler than what our guys are used to. But I think the Cowboys get a much needed bye after this game to get healthy. You know, get guys like Michael Gallup back, maybe Neville Gallimore. That gives, you know, DeMarcus Lawrence, he won't come back for about another month or so, but at least another week to heal up and to start getting ready. So I've got 28-20 Cowboys in a close one. We'll improve hopefully to 5-1, hitting the bye week, and then we'll get the Vikings on the other side of the bye week. So, yeah, those are my predictions. Go Cowboys!